have a keynote speaker who comes with a wealth of expertise in agriculture and technology. He was in fact recognized as top 10 agripreneurs in 2019 by Future Agro Challenge and was also recognized as a technology pioneer in 2018 from the World Economic Forum. He also serves on the expert panel of the World Economic Forum on digital transformation, a frequent speaker on national television about agricultural trends and policies. He holds advisory roles with AgTech incubators and has 24 years of collaborating on projects across 34 countries. He is the founder of Honeybee Tech Incubations Private Limited, whose observations are incisive and truly valuable. Here today to speak on future horizons, predictions and emerging trends in agri commodities is the much respected Mr. Deepak Parikh. Hearty welcome, Mr. Deepak Parikh. Good morning.
Good morning. So, can I have the slide, please? Okay, stay here only. So great to start talking about future. I think we had a great deliberation over past 3 days, and today, I'm talking about future because we all believe that only two emotions make all of us push the limits. One is fear, other is hope. So I think, past 3 days we would have all had good quota of fear for sure on MRLs, on climate challenges. Now today I'll be talking about future, but before we get into future, we have to understand that future is now. I start with some very interesting numbers, and many of you know those numbers. While we have a plan in India that we should export spices worth $10 billion by 2030. Currently we stand at $4.4 billion. Now from where we have been able to achieve $4.4 billion, we have done pretty well in the past 6 years. 48% growth in export is a great number. We should all pat our backs. But we have to realize one thing. 28% of that has come because of depreciation of Indian rupee. Another 22% has come because of the volume increase. We are importing close to 1.54 million metric tons today, while actually we were exporting 26% less in 2017, 2018. So if we add both of that, where is the value addition? That's the $1 million question. If we want to become a $10 billion worth of export country, spices, we have to start looking at how much value addition we are able to do. Otherwise, the path will be very difficult. Also, now coming on the productivity part of it, I'll be talking about how we can increase productivity, how we can take care of those challenges. But you have to again understand one very interesting aspect. Our production has increased by 16% over the past 6 years. 13% of that has come just because of acreage increase. If you talk about yield increase in past 6 years, it has just increased by minuscule 2.6% and from 2.41 tons per hectare to currently 2.51. So on productivity front also we are not doing much. So I believe these are the questions when you go home and think about it as a ecosystem, as a sector. How do we take care of it? Some of that I'll try to put food for the thought. And let's understand how the world is. Now, we are seeing people from multiple countries and all because of the very great organization behind this beautiful event. We are having people coming from all across the world. We are seeing that the trend of food consumption is changing because we are growing as a global economy pretty well. By 2050, we have a task cut out that we need 50% more food because of changing habit, because of use of food, because of some interesting policy of diverting it to fuel also. While we are having 800 million people in the world who are food insecure, while still we would like our maize to be converted into ethanol. So there are also policy challenges, but 2050, we need twice the land which we are doing on cultivation today. Do we have that much of land? Answer is no. Let's delve a little bit deeper into why this is a problem. So even if we grow by between 2.5 to 3% GDP growth by 2050, we'll see that the demand for food will be increasing substantially. And it is not just in one sector, it is across multiple sectors. Whether we talk about cereals, it will reach by 2050 close to 3.4 to 3.6 billion metric ton. That's 30% of what we produce today. Similarly, when we talk about pulses, we produce 110 odd million tons today. We need 170, 180. Fruits and vegetables from 2.4 to 2.4 today to 3.2 to 3.6 billion metric ton by 2050. Same with oilseeds, same with millets and milk. Spices also. Spices, you will find that 25 million metric tons look a little bit short because some of the spices are also considered in fruits and vegetables. So that's an overlap. But again, what we are seeing is that actually we have a very big task in our hand. To feed the world is not going to be easy. And why it is not going to be easy? Because of these reasons. We are finding that actually we are actually seeing food as a food, not as something which gives us nutrition. So while there are close to 2 billion people who suffer micronutrient deficiency because their food is not giving them the normative requirement what they need to have. In fact, you'll be surprised today, only 78% normative requirement of an average adult is taken care of. We are short on nutrient. And then we are having 2 billion people like me who are obese. We eat too much. So that balance we need to find, that how do we make our food more nutritional at the same time ensure that food security for all. 800 million people who are actually involved in agriculture, they are below poverty line. They are making less than $2 per day. So while we said actually those who are producing food for us, they are not having sufficient food. That's another problem. So livelihood also we have to think about. Agri-food is also both the victim and the culprit of climate change. 30% of greenhouse gases is because of agriculture. At the same time, the maximum impact of climate change is on agriculture. I'll talk about that in next slide. And the food sector is also, which is withdrawing a lot of water. So 70% of fresh water withdrawal is because of agriculture. Now, maybe in 2050 we'll have a question mark. In case you want to have your food and have 2 liters of water, then you'll have to skip your shower. So do we want to get into those situations? No, we don't want to. So we need to have some changes. And we also have to understand that the global south, the emerging world, it is fed by small and marginal farmer. It is the West which are having like industrialized agriculture and they are able to do it. But when we talk about Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, the 80% of the food is coming because of small and marginal farmers, which has been always been questioned, are they be even sustainable going forward or not? So these are some of the questions. Now climate, we have discussion about climate at multiple forums. Even in India, if we see that over past century, the temperature has increased by 0.6 degree and we see that by 2100, it might increase between 2 to 4 degree depending on which scientific document you are picking up. Now is climate a problem? I'll give a very simple example. Wheat. This year and previous 2 years, while whatever the number government gives, the actual number is that we have produced less than 100 million metric tons of wheat. Our demand or consumption is 105. We used to have 30 million metric ton as a buffer, now we have only with 16 million metric ton of buffer. That itself shows that actually we are eating more than what we are producing. And wheat is such an important commodity. Just think about it, if India comes in the market and says that actually, hey, we want to import 10% of our consumption. That's you're talking about 11 million metric ton. Nobody in the world would be able to give you that much of wheat. So our challenges are there and climate will create more problems and we are seeing that 6 to 23% of productivity will fall just because of climate change. So on the one hand, we have to increase because we are not having great productivity as on date, but we also have to counter the climate change because of it also the productivity is going to go down. So it's a double whammy. And this is where actually we have to understand that the technology is going to play a very important role, because if we want the world to be healthy, we want the world to be not hungry, then we'll have to innovate. And innovate not tomorrow, innovate now. Innovation is not easy in agriculture for a very simple reason is that if you can think about how many of you are there in agriculture trade for more than 20 years, can you raise your hands? So many of you would see that actually 20 years back, the value chains were very simple, not very complex. There used to be a farmer, there used to be a mandi, maybe an aggregator, life is good. Now there are so many stakeholders. Now there are warehousing guys, warehouse receipt guys, trade finance guys, guys like me talking about technology. Then there is new, old wine in new bottle, FPO, or previously it used to be collectives, farmer collectives, startups. So now this ecosystem is actually become so complex that actually it is not what it used to be 20 years back. And another thing, actually, I'll just give you one very recent example. I was in one of the villages and I was talking to a farmer talking about regenerative agriculture. You need to do regenerative agriculture, climate is a problem, climate resilient agriculture. So he asked me, what do you do in regenerative agriculture? You don't till, great. You don't use fertilizer, great. Well, I said, I was doing it in 1968. You came to me, said use fertilizer. Then you said that actually use seeds which are actually hybrid, high variety seed, and for that monoculture. Then because of that immunity goes down, use pesticide. Then because you have to do this type of agriculture which needs a lot of labor, use mechanization, and now you come to me and say that don't tell. Now, that actually, we are intelligent people, scientists, the trade community, the businessman. We went to him again and again, and now when I go to him and talk to him about digital technology, biotechnology, he tells me, farmers love to feed, sit with me, have lunch, and get out. Right? I don't need more of your gyan because I have become poorer now. My input cost has increased, but my actually earning has not. So that is a problem statement. Now, how do we solve those problem statements? I would also talk a little bit about something which is very relevant to you. So when we talk about value chains, one of the challenge of the value chain is the traceability itself. Where your food is coming from, right? What process it has gone. How many of you think that actually food served to you is not safe? Can you raise your hands? Very optimistic. Please go to some mandi and see actually how your tomato or potato is coming, right? You would find, or go to Guntur. In fact, I was in Guntur and actually for one of the projects, and I was meeting a lot of chili processors, and I asked someone to click a photograph so that I put it on my LinkedIn. After the photograph, Indians gave thumbs up, and all those from developed economies, everybody had one question, and I have to delete that post. How the hell you are standing next to processed chili with shoes on? Right? That's the challenge of the food safety. So again, we need to create solutions which are actually ensuring traceability and transparency in the value chain. Quality control and adulteration. How many of you think that actually maybe the chili or the turmeric you are eating would be adulterated? Can you raise your hands? I know you're from the spicy industry, you won't. But if you go to the general public and you find, many of them will. Because in fact, we start doing our testing also when somebody sitting in Singapore or Hong Kong start questioning us, then actually we get activated and we start doing more sample testing in India. So again, the quality control adulteration is a challenge. Fair pricing. Now that is very important. Is farmer getting sufficient amount of money for the effort he is doing? And the answer is that actually farmer puts 78% of economical activity and he just get 18% of economical value of the final product being sold to the consumer. So if you are buying something for 100 rupees, a packet of Lays, out of that 100 rupees, only 18 rupees is going to farmer. But if you think about the economic value addition done by him, it is 78%. So we have not been fair to our farmers for sure. Now counterfeit, many of you have seen that problem, right? We come out with very interesting holomark which shines and all that. But believe me, the cost of copying increase. Until unless you don't use technology, until unless you have provenance built in your solution of traceability, it is very difficult to counter the counterfeits. And this is where actually the brand name get tarnished, because in fact there is saying the Johnny Walker Blue Label, it is sold actually 3 times of what it is produced. Right? So when it can happen in the liquor industry, I'm pretty sure that actually if you are having some very high value products, the counterfeiting of the brands happen there also. Regulatory and compliance. How many of you believe that our compliance system is perfect? Can you raise your hand? That means today we don't have any government official today. Not a single hand being raised. So yes, the compliance itself is a pain and it's a big cost. And you will be surprised to know that actually India is having highest compliance cost in the world. And I'm talking about agriculture, not specific to spices, but agriculture and food sector. Our compliance costs are humongous. It is not I'm talking about the cost you do unofficially being paid. I'm just talking about the official payments being made to ensure compliances. And then we are known for our inefficiencies. We are known for post-harvest losses. So these are some of the challenges which I believe there is a solution to it. And that solution actually comes in a format which is known as digitization of agriculture value chain. 3 technologies are of key interest and importance going forward. And I see that actually just not spices industry, but in agriculture, generally we always blame that farmer doesn't want to adopt technology. But I've seen that even the agri businesses, the large corporates, except startup, actually nobody wants to even talk too much of technology. You do free pilot to us, if it works, then I will think about paying it. Now, do you do it actually when you are buying your packing machinery? You do the packaging for me for 6 months. If it works, then I'll buy a machinery. No, you pay and you buy machine, right? Sorting machine, cleaning machine, you pay upfront, right, to buy those machines. But when it comes to a startup company that I am having a great blockchain solution, okay, you do one thing. You do free pilot for me for 6 months. If it is work, I'll buy a solution. So that's what I'm saying. Our own enthusiasm for technology, while in such conferences we talk a lot about it. But if tomorrow I come to you and say that, hey, I am having a great product, can we work on this? Yes, do a free pilot for me. And I'm talking about large, big corporates, right? Maybe like, that individual GM's travel budget would be more than the cost of the technology, but still that GM is not keen to sign that up and say, okay, fine, I take a risk of 25 lakh rupees, let's do it. So what I'm saying that we have to blame. We always blame farmer. Farmer doesn't adopt technology. We only adopt technology actually when we are pressurized, pushed to adopt technology. Suddenly Chinese, they do something, they are able to come out with a great product using better technology and say, hey, now let's copy. Right? Suddenly someone in the Netherlands come out with something, innovation, right, where he's able to give you typically like, the soilless cultivation and the prices in international market goes up by 30% for that specific quality. Then say, hey, we also should do hydroponics back home in India. So we are always trying to catch up. We never want to innovate. So these three technologies, one is for sure blockchain. How many of you have heard about this name blockchain? Can you raise your hand so that give me some understanding? So that's good. Quite a few of you know that. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, I won't ask that how many of you know it, because AI also means I. I is mother in India, right? We have heard that. So Modi ji has popularized AI, and every one of us know what artificial intelligence and machine learning is all about. I'll go a little bit deep and make you understand how it works in agriculture. And last, the Internet of Things. Now, Internet of Things is also something very old. Sensor used to be there since 1960s onward. Now, what we have done is some intelligent guy said, put sensors and communication, that is internet, together, and then put all the data in the cloud, and that becomes Internet of Things. Now, a lot of people think IoT is only something you put in the soil, on the plant. No, IoT is any sensor. It could be on drone, it could be on satellite. So all of them, whether you are doing the on-ground sensing or remote sensing, all are the part of something which is known as Internet of Things. Now, why digital transformation? So basically the challenge of, a lot of us talk about like, the residues, right? So one thing is that we keep on talking about regulation, we keep on talking about like, how the MRL should be, whether Europe is right, whether India is wrong. So all those discussions we can do it. But the fact is, we are using far more pesticide and fertilizer in production of our crop for sure. There are no two thoughts about that. It leads to multiple issues. One is that definitely nitrous oxide, it impacts our climate negatively. It increases cost of cultivation for the farmer. It gives you food which is laced with beautiful chemicals, right? So if you love to have chemical, then let's have the business as usual. If not, we'll have to move to something which is known as precision agriculture. Now, what is precision agriculture? Precision agriculture is a mechanism in which you actually derive exactly what is required at which part of your farm. So for example, if a part of your farm is infested with weed, why to spray actually whole of the farm? And in weeds also, can we identify that where is that weed and only spray on the weed itself, rather than spraying on the rice, on the pepper, or on weed itself? No, we can identify where is the weed and we can spray exactly on the weed itself, the weedicide. That reduces cost. That also helps in some of the farming methodology which we have been doing, which are anti-climate, like rice. The flood irrigation in rice leads to methane, lot of methane, and loss of water. Rice doesn't need water. Just to ensure that actually we don't have weeds, we flood it and then we transplant it, so that actually your rice is only above the water and it breathes rest of the everything, all the plant, they don't grow. But that wastes a lot of water. Now again, if we are able to do precision spraying of herbicide, we are able to take care of lot of, I'll say reduce the use of lot of pesticides, herbicides and chemicals. Similarly, the fertigation itself. Now this is a beautiful machine. Actually, it is again created by one of the company called Absolute, known as InSoil. I am not related to them, but this was a piece of the art which was created in India. I will talk about technologies which are developed in India, because I believe Indian technology is having big role to play in global agriculture. It is able to give you in 10 minutes 13 different parameters, macro, micronutrient, and with a precision of close to 98%. Currently, if you have to do the soil test, you have to collect the soil, take it, go to lab, and then actually after 10 days you get a result. Whether that time farmer would have already decided actually, let's put urea. Government as such is giving free of cost, with subsidy. So farmer thinks that I spend 100 rupees, government is giving me 120 rupees back, right? So that mindset. So we overuse urea, DAP and all that. Now with these type of machines, you will be able to reduce the fertigation itself. And then also, like I'll talk about later on how remote sensing can also go to the farm level to identify actually what are the yields, what is the crop health and all that. Now let's talk about blockchain, because this is a very interesting part of it. Now generally whenever we talk about blockchain, people have in the mind the cryptocurrency. And second thing they have in mind, they think it is nascent new technology. Now both things cannot be true. Bitcoin has been there since 2008, the peer review paper was written in 2008. So blockchain is a pretty old technology. Bitcoin is actually based on infrastructure of blockchain. Bitcoin is nothing, or a cryptocurrency is nothing but an application of technology called blockchain. Now why blockchain? Because blockchain is pretty interesting. It is interesting because first of all, it is nothing but a database. But it is a very smart database. Why? It is distributed across the network. So there is single view of truth. So what you will see, sir, I will see, what I will see, he will see. We all will have a single view of truth. Second, it auto-sync everywhere. So actually you cannot manipulate. Generally we do that, right? And a lot of people actually when they make corporate presentation, right? I'll put a number, where is the validation going to happen? And not just that actually, even like yield prediction, if you see that the number coming out with some of the government agencies, not just Indian, across the globe, whether you are talking about Canadian or Australian, you suddenly find that those numbers doesn't match on ground. Because the prices move in a different direction than what the projection has been. Every year we have a record production, but every year we have the highest price for wheat. Now how both are possible? Right? So again, here what we are doing, that actually the manipulation of the data is impossible. Now why the manipulation of data is very difficult? So if you see that there are 3 blocks. So if I have to put up a block 53, which for example is quality validation of a product. Now it is actually having a proof of work code connected with the previous block, which would have been put by someone else who would have transported that material. Now if I have to manipulate the block 53, I'll have to manipulate the block 52, which has been written by someone else. Now even if I am smart enough to get the transporter also in my coterie and say that okay fine, you also manipulate. Now this is dependent on an aggregator who has created block number 51. So now I have to catch hold of the aggregator also and manipulate him also. Now it goes all the way. So until and unless all the participants of the blockchain, they decided you all want to be crooks, right? You cannot change even a fraction of data anywhere. So that gives trust. Now that gives trust, and what is the value of the trust? This is the value of trust. Now for example, I know sir, so I can be okay fine sir, can you buy a ton of turmeric from me? You know each other, he'll say fine, Deepak is a nice guy, he has been in business for a long time, I can trust him. But now if he has to do someone who's sitting all the way in Mexico, doesn't even know about this guy, and he says that actually I want to sell you a ton of turmeric, he said I don't know what is quality, who is this guy, and many of you might be getting all those emails, right? I'm having availability, some price will come, and you'll find that 80% of them, they're fake, and they're actually also circulating this buy sell to everyone. Now when all of you are in a trusted environment of blockchain, you can blindly trust because there are smart contracts. There are escrow accounts involved. There are regulators involved. There are document providers involved. So you can actually trust someone you have never met, even known about him, because he cannot default. Or similarly, you cannot default on the payment. If he cannot default on the quality, you cannot default on the payment. So both the sides are protected. And that's the beauty, decentralization of trust. See what internet did, it decentralized communication. Anybody with a phone in the hand can communicate to anywhere in the world easily. All of you use WhatsApp, right? How many of you use WhatsApp? Can you raise your hand? See everyone, it is decentralized, right? Anybody can actually connect to anyone else. Previously, you need to pick up the phone, you need to have that number, you dial it, that person will pick up, or it is PP number used to say, right? That means for someone else. So say, I want to talk. So again, here actually click of a button, you are able to communicate with each other. And it is so pervasive, everybody is having a WhatsApp. Similarly, blockchain, it actually decentralized trust. So you can close your eyes and you can trust anybody and everybody who's part of that network. Second thing what it does is that actually it makes life very easy. So if you see on your left side, that a grower is talking to a restaurant, to a retailer, a manufacturer, and similarly input provider is talking to a logistic guy, a retailer, manufacturer. Everybody is talking to each other, so much of documentation, so much of complexity, and then actually dispute happens. Why? Because a lot of things get missed. A retailer says actually I'm not going to take what logistic guy is doing because he has not kept everything in the temperature controlled environment. So now that input provider is in stress. On blockchain, actually, everything is based on smart contracts. Everything is automated. You have to just execute your task, and rest of the things is taken care by the network, the blockchain itself. Now, what is the value it gives? So for different stakeholders, it can give different value. See, for a grower or a producer, a farmer, the most important thing is that actually he is assured what he will be getting as a remuneration for his activity. When I talk about wholesale and distributor, it automates his process and makes his whole process very efficient, contracts very simple, and defaults minimal. So that is what a wholesaler or distributor wants. That actually my contracts should not get defaulted because I have purchased spices or, for example, chili for 28 rupees and sold for 32 rupees. Even one of them defaults, I am in a mess. And if that time the price goes up, and we have seen, if there is an escalation of price or the fall in the price, if there is an escalation in the price, suddenly you'll find the buyer will have all the problems in the quality, and when the prices fall, then similarly the supplier will have all the problems that he is not able to dispatch. So all those things can be taken care of. A food manufacturer, he can ensure the traceability, and for that I'll have some example I'll talk about. And similarly, when we talk about manufacturer, retailers and food logistics, the blockchain ensures that actually transparency of the data, ensures traceability, and which also help a customer. Customer is now more empowered to know from where his food is coming, what process it has gone, when it was harvested. And these are some of the real-time examples. So Carrefour provides data to shoppers. So with the scan of QR code, you can see actually from the chicken which you are buying, right, the complete journey of that. A coffee platform, it's another interesting. So what you do is that when you scan your coffee cup, right, you are able to find who is a farmer. So if you like your coffee, you don't tip the server, you directly tip the farmer. So you say that, it's a beautiful coffee, I loved it, and I want to give $1. $1 to whom? The server has just delivered you the coffee. The actual pain has been taken by a farmer in Ethiopia. So straight away you can pass on money, you can tip that farmer itself. Walmart, now this is very interesting. So they had infestation of E. coli, and because of that they were in a big mess actually, because you have to remove all the SKUs from all the shops wherever actually it is available. Now they have ensured that everybody who is giving them green leafies has to be part of this blockchain network, and in 2.2 seconds they are able to identify in case there is any infestation. So if there is infestation, they will find that these 100 boxes has only to be eliminated because it came from so and so farm. So they know the origin, they know the complete path, and they know where those boxes are, and only those boxes are removed, not all that. So it saves humongous amount of time, effort, and money. Now similarly, we have seen that the GSF, what they have done is that actually they have integrated blockchain with their own ERP, RFID across the logistics. So if the beef has been below optimal environmental condition, automatically at the next spot it is stopped. So it saves a lot of amount of unnecessary logistic, because you already know that it is suboptimal now. It cannot be sold on the shop front. So you can stop anything which is gonna impact your customer negatively in middle of the process itself, rather than waiting till the customer says that your beef is not good. Now this was blockchain, and now coming to this is something which is very close to my heart. Remote sensing. See, satellite has been there for a long time, and we know that actually the most powerful man, right, in the world today talks about satellites, talks about space. So how many of you believe that Elon Musk is more powerful than anyone else in the world? Can you raise your hands? Not too many. With a single tweet, actually, he makes UK PM do things, right? His kid sits in the Oval Office on his head and actually asks the president of US to shh, right? What else you call power, right? When he meets our prime minister, his two kids and his nannies are there, while we are having all the ministers and bureaucrats and economic advisor and security advisor sitting with him. I think there cannot be more power than that. So I strongly believe Elon Musk is the most powerful man, right or wrong. I don't like that if somebody should have that much of power, but he does have. And the reason I talk about is that actually they are also now talking about the tariffs. They would like to put a lot of tariffs on Indian spices. So that discussion is already going on. So be careful, Mr. Trump and Mr. Musk can also impact your life. Now coming back to remote sensing. See, remote sensing can be done with multiple ways. So one is definitely we are having satellite, then we are having drone, and then we are having lidar, which is light detection and ranging. Now satellite is pretty high up. They're able to see the large parcels of land, put a pixel, and that pixel have a lot of data. Depending on the sensor the satellite will be having. And that pixel can be interpreted in a different way. That pixel you can use vegetative index to find actually was something grown there or not, when it was grown. And you also have a time series for multiple decades, that data, that you can use to extrapolate and simulate and find out what's going to happen in the future, which is called predictive analytics. Now that is very important. Similarly, in some of the plants or some of the farming methodologies where you are having a lot of canopy, it is very difficult to get all the data just using a satellite. And now previously there was a problem of even like, when we used to have a cloudy weather, the satellite was not taking appropriate pictures. But that problem has been solved, but still the data is costly. But if, for example, I'm talking about a 1 acre farm, I would definitely go with a drone. It helps me actually for the small area, have very high resolution, both all the three type of imaging, whether it's infrared or whether it is visual spectrum or even IR. IR is important because actually some of the pests which are there in agriculture, for example, stem borers, they only have heat signatures. They don't have actually like any visual impact. After the plant is dead, you come to know that there was a stem borer in here. And especially when we talk about oilseed industry, the palm industry, the plantation industry, even apple orchids, you find that these type of technology are very important. And the third, the LiDAR. LiDAR is used actually like, for your old orchids, where actually you want also to know how much centimeter the plant has grown over last year or last 3 months, because that will also give you help. DC technology themselves, they are of no use, but they create a lot of data. Now that data is what is actually nothing but the fuel for AI and machine learning. Now artificial intelligence, machine learning can do beautiful things in agriculture. Whether we talk about like predictive modeling about the one very thing easily come to our mind is yield estimation. The government has been always doing this crop cutting experiment and then actually like adding it up and then again extrapolating it and coming with the number. Here you can have precisely exactly what is the yield of what farm. You add it up automatically. You don't need to have like that extrapolated. You have the real-time data, and based on that you can come in. I'll talk about yields in the next slide. Second thing is that actually AI and ML can also be used for detection of pest. There are some beautiful companies actually where they have solution where you just click a simple photograph, send it to them, their WhatsApp. They'll come back to you saying that hey, you are having so and so infestation. Do you also want to know what is the solution? If you say yes, they will tell you these 10 products you can buy, right? Which product you want to select product number 1. It will also tell you how much dosage you need based on your current scenario. So that's the beauty. So you are a farmer gets empowered because he is able to detect without any agronomist what is the problem and also solve it. In fact, like we have seen in Guntur belt, there has been a lot of challenges because of the pest infestation. And while we talk about the integrated pest management techniques and all that, they are like when you are having a problem, rather than taking paracetamol tablet, you say that actually drink turmeric milk every day. Drinking turmeric milk every day is good, but it will impact in 2 years, right? It is not going to impact in 2 hours. If I am having 104 fever, I am not looking at immunity, I am just looking at my temperature should go down. So this is where such technologies are very important, where actually like you are able to identify immediately and get some rectification without any intervention by human beings. Another thing is that when you understand the overall pattern, for example, in some of the farms which are large farms, or the farms where getting into the farms are very difficult. For example, sugarcane farms. If in sugarcane farm, 300 meters inside the farm, there is an infestation. You'll only come to know when actually you'll find that on the periphery, the sugarcane becomes yellow. By the time it's too late. But if you are using again AI and machine learning tools, you'll be able to predict that actually which part of your farm is have some infestation, there is some problem. Please go and investigate. You go and investigate, and if you find some problem, you solve that. So these are the beauty of what AI and ML can do. AI and ML can also be used in trade. How it can be used in trade? Predicting the prices. Now we all, when we trade, we would love to know that what is going to be price of XYZ commodity after 1 month or after 3 months. And we as a human beings, we go with all our own whims and fancies, right? We talk to the peers, we talk about supply and demand data. We will be talking about supply and demand data today. But I've been doing estimation and supply and demand analysis for now close to 7 years. And believe me, everybody puts guesstimates. There is no estimate. It is your guess is better than my guess, because we only take parameters and then we always put a caveat based on assumptions, and nobody tells you what are those assumptions. Now if you are having the yield data itself not right, then you have a problem. So what I'm saying is that there is no scientific way so far that actually we are doing the estimates of majority of the crop, except few crops which are actually very structured crops. There we definitely have a better way of doing estimates. Now this is where actually the first part of any estimate is supply and demand data. And on supply side, now how do you take care of supply side? When you know exactly what is being grown where and how much is being grown. And this is where the remote sensing based AI tools are very important. So using ANN, CNN, these are two typically neural network which are very capable, they think like human being. They're able to identify, right, actually what could be the yield on per pixel basis. And automatically they will be able to give you exactly for the whole of the piece of land, what would be the yield. And again, because it is done through satellite based imagery, the whole world you can touch. For example, if you want that, but you need to spend money for sure, it doesn't come free. So if you want that, actually I want to know what would be the chili productivity across the world. Is that possible? Answer is yes. If you want to know what would be the productivity of sugarcane across the world, answer is yes. Same is for rice, same is for wheat. Some of the crops still we don't have phenotype signatures available, but even that can be done. So many of you who are taking speculative position, please talk to me. We can use solution which can at least give you what will be the global productivity. Crop health. Now this is more important for those who are having own contract farms or the farmer themselves which are big farmers. It is not too much of impact of small farmers, because if I am having 1 acre of land, every day I go I am visually able to see what's happening. But if you are having 10,000 hectares or you are having 20 hectares of plantation or farming, then you are able to detect exactly what's happening to your farm sitting in a small room. So you can take help of agronomists sitting in your headquarters or in your regional center, and can identify in which farm what activity needs to be done, where you need to irrigate more, where you do under irrigate, where you have to do fertigation, where you have to do spraying. So all of those things can be done very simply, very easily, because you are able to detect the health of every pixel. Now these are some platforms. Another interesting part is that you can also dovetail remote sensing with the soil data, with the historical parameters, with the temperature, and with the, I'm so sorry, I got totally engrossed, I'm not seeing time. Just give me just two more minutes. So now this is actually one of, in fact, Sanjeev was also talking about it. It is a new innovation in India known as Accuro.ai. They are actually predicting with 94% accuracy the future spot prices of 3 commodities: palm, sugar, and wheat. And that can be replicated to other commodities as well. And I think they are taking care of close to 200 parameters and doing awesome. CRISPR-Cas is another technology where AI is being used. CRISPR-Cas is biotechnology where you do genetic editing, and I believe that is the future of the breeding. So now we do a lot of crop hybrids by breeding. CRISPR-Cas with AI for simulation can reduce new variety delivery to 2 years instead of 6 to 7 years, which currently is taking. And with that, I would like to just request all of you that we have to do something now. Right? We have to ensure the risk in agriculture farmer is less. We have to ensure the food which we are delivering is safe, and at the same time, we have to also take care of climate. With that, believe that technology can solve these problems. I would like to thank all of you. Thank you.